In the ancient sun-drenched cities of Sumer, Inanna was the morning and the evening star. She was the queen of heaven, adorned in jewels that held the power of the gods. But Inanna carried a restless hunger. She looked down at the cracks in the earth. She realized that her throne was incomplete. She did not truly own the light, because she had never mastered the dark. She decided to descend into the Kur the Great below, a silent obsidian kingdom of her sister Ereshkigal. Inanna dressed herself for a war of the spirit. She placed the Shugura, the crown of the steppe, upon her head. She hung the double strand of pearls around her neck. She strapped the sparkling stones to her breast and wound the gold ring around her finger. Finally, she draped the royal robe of sovereignty over her shoulders. She looked at her faithful servant Ninshuber and gave a single chilling command. "If I do not return in 3 days, set the heavens on fire with your grief. Do not let them forget me." She stepped into the shadow. At the first gate of the underworld, the air turned to ice. Neti, the giant gatekeeper, blocked her path. "Who are you to come to the land of no return?" he growled. Inanna shouted her titles, but Neti only smiled. He reached out and snatched the golden crown from her head. Inanna felt a cold shock. "What is this?" she demanded. Neti whispered, "Be silent, Inanna. The ways of the underworld are perfect. They must not be questioned." At the second gate, he tore away her lapis measuring rod. At the third, the pearls were ripped from her throat. With every gate, Inanna felt a piece of her soul escaping. At the fourth gate, her breastplate was taken. At the fifth, her gold ring was twisted from her finger. At the sixth, her beads were scattered into the dust. By the seventh gate, Neti pulled the royal robe from her shivering body. Inanna stood in the absolute dark, naked and small. She was no longer a queen. She was no longer a goddess. She was stripped of every shield she had ever known. She entered the throne room of her sister, Ereshkigal. The Queen of Death did not offer a hug. She offered a curse. She fastened the eye of death upon Inanna, a gaze so heavy it crushed the very breath from Inanna's lungs. Inanna fell. Her body was turned into a piece of gray, rotting meat and hung from a rusted hook on the wall. For 3 days, the Queen of Heaven was a silent, decaying thing. The world above grew cold. The crops died. The light faded. But Ninshuber did not forget. She went to the god Enki, who reached into the dirt beneath his fingernails. He fashioned 2 tiny, humble creatures. They were not heroes. They were mourners. They slipped through the cracks of the earth and found Ereshkigal moaning in pain. They did not fight her. They sat with her. They echoed her grief. In her gratitude, Ereshkigal offered them any gift. They chose the corpse on the hook. They sprinkled the water of life and the food of life upon the rotting meat. Inanna's heart began to beat. She rose, not with a scream, but with a silence that shook the foundations of the core. As she walked back through the 7 gates, she reclaimed her robe, her jewels, and her crown. But she did not wear them for pride anymore. She wore them as a survivor. She had looked into the void, and the void had blinked first. She ascended back to the sun, a woman who is no longer just a queen of the light, but a master of the entire universe. We look at Inanna's journey, and we see our own path. In modern world, the underworld is not a myth. It is the market crash, the failed venture, and the moments when our titles are stripped away. We often spend our lives terrified of the 7 gates. We cling to our crowns, our reputations, our bank accounts, our egos, as if they are our skin. But we are a collective that understands a deeper truth. The stripping is the strategy. We do not descend because we have failed. We descend because we are ready to be refined. If you cannot stand naked before your challenges and still know your value, then you never had power. You only had props. We use the silence of the dark to find what is indestructible within us. When we rise, we do not just return to where we were. We return with a depth of authority that those who stay in the great above can never understand. We are the ones who have been on the hook and walked away. We are the architects of the resurrection. The moral, true power is not what you carry. It is what remains after everything has been taken away.